Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Email me for pricing at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing a spectacular timepiece that launched at Basel World 2017. This is the Patek Philippe 5131/1P World Time. The timepiece, of course, part of the 5130 family. The 5131 is the cloissiné enamel version. This one is the /1G on full bracelet, and it was only available in platinum starting in the year 2017. Now, the watch is 39.5 millimeters in diameter, meaning, yes, it is bigger than the succeeding 5231. So 39.5 in diameter, 10.7 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, if we're just talking the case, it's 49 millimeters across the wrist. If we add the end links to the bracelet, the total distance across the wrist is 50.3 millimeters, and the watch has a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. These things weigh over 240 grams, all up with the bracelet, so the feeling on the wrist is incredible. The timepiece fits nicely, though it is broad. You can see on my 16 centimeter wrist, it's not quite out to the edge, but I wouldn't wear the watch on a wrist smaller than 15 centimeters circumference. You can see, though, it is nice and slim with a domed bezel. It easily slides underneath the cuff. It has incredible presence, and not just because it's a complicated Patek Philippe. The blazing white sheen of platinum is unlike anything else. Compared to this, if you compare them side by side, white gold is actually quite dark. It almost looks yellow. This is blazing white, like a star in the sky. Taking a quick look at the bracelet, it does give the watch a more substantial aesthetic and a more substantial feel. Now, it is a dress-style bracelet because you can see it has relatively small cross sections and then a 5-link design. There is a little bit of a taper down from the conforming end link, and you can see that the end link doesn't just conform to the lugs in the case, but also to the contours of the top Vesselton diamond between the lugs, reminding you that this is a platinum Patek Philippe. Taking a quick look on the opposite side, you can see everything's in high polish. Removable links are fixed in place by pins and sleeves. So if you want to size this at home, you're going to want to use a block and a punch. Take a quick look and see inside the double deployant clasp, we have ceramic spring-loaded pin snaps, so when you close the clamshell that locks the mechanism, the platinum cannot aggress against the ceramic, so the tolerances remain snappy and tight forever. The watch also includes a little Calatrava cross on the clamshell lock. That is the symbol of the Patek Philippe manufacturer. You'll see it as well on the outer face of the crown. The crown has a nice sharp knurling that makes it a pleasure to wind and operate. We have a crown guard structure here that creates the impression that this is a larger watch than its 39.5 millimeters would otherwise indicate. Now, here's the thing. With the solid end links of the bracelet and the crown guard structure, this watch doesn't look slightly larger than the 5231. It looks significantly larger. It has the wrist presence of something like a 41 or a 42. So although the difference between this and its successor is only about a millimeter, reality is that this looks huge on the wrist compared to the 5231. So if you're looking for that kind of wrist presence and you want to make an impression, this is the one to choose. The case is handsome, it's fluid, it's all of high polish. The bezel is broad and domed. You can see that there's a rounded curvature to the case that continues the curvature of the bezel profile. And we have the Louis Coutier designed World Time system. He eventually marketed it to Patek and Vacheron as two of his first clients after discovering this system in the 1930s. You have a World Time reference ring that moves around the dial. Then you have a counterclockwise rotating 24-hour reference ring. So as the time advances in a clockwise direction, the World Time advances in a counterclockwise direction. So here's how this works. You put your reference city up at 12 o'clock. You know it's your reference city up there and not down here because your reference city is always right side up. So, okay, London. That's our reference city. Well, you could see, because the 24-hour ring gives us that 24-hour format, that we are looking at the center of the dial. We are looking at 8 in the morning because the number 8 is adjacent to London. Now, if that were 20, we would know it's 8 p.m. Semicircles, one silver, one blue. Where it's blue, you can generally assume it's nighttime. Where it's silver, you can generally assume it is daytime. Now, let's say I want to move from my reference city in London, and I want to go visit Korono, Tokyo. I move Tokyo to 12 o'clock. The watch does all the math for me, and now you can see all of the reference cities are visible. So here, let's take a look at how this works in practice. We'll move the hand for the minutes right up to 12 to make this easy and intuitive. If I want to see the time in New York, well, I look adjacent to New York, I can see it's 3 a.m. If I want to see the time in Dubai, well, I look adjacent to Dubai, I can see that it's 12 noon. It's that simple. You read your hour adjacent to the reference city, and remember, it moves counterclockwise, so the oncoming hour is found by moving in a clockwise direction. So, for example, it's Karachi, 1 p.m., and in Pakistan, in an hour, it's going to be 2 p.m., and then it's going to be 3 p.m. So you always look clockwise to see the oncoming hours. Now, let's say you just want to move the local time and the reference ring separate from the city ring. You do that with the crown. But let me get the hands out of the way, and we can talk about the real pièce de résistance on this dial. The dial is cloissiné enamel. So we have grand faux enamel, so fired up to 20 times. It's a vitreous glass-based paint, and it's executed on a solid gold dial base. But then the cloisons, or the little gold wires, are used to create the image of the land masses. Now, while different colors of enamel are also used here, you can see that there is quite a color gradient. Different thicknesses or different applications of the same color are used to create light and dark. So you can see we have several different greens, several different blues, several different whites and browns, and the gradient within a color, blue or green or white, that's created by the thickness of the enamel applied. This is a laborious, slow process that limits the number of these that can be made, which is why this watch was an application piece. You would have to apply and then be approved to buy it, and then you pay the money, and then you wait the time to take delivery. So it was a circuitous and low-volume process, and very few were able to take delivery of this watch. Now, of course, you can see on the reverse side, we have a worthy caliber. Caliber 240, first debuted back in 1977. It's the upscale of the Patek automatic movements. Center rotors tend to be more mainstream and lower cost. The micro rotors tend to be more premium and generally attached to complications. So it's nice and thin, like a manual wind. It's got a big open caseback vista, like a manual wind, but it has the convenience of an automatic. We have a 22-karat gold micro rotor that pivots on ceramic bearings for high efficiency. It winds a 48-hour power reserve. The balance beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour. You can see the historic Patek Philippe Gyromax style regulator and balance architecture for toughness against shock and precise regulation. What you might not be able to see from this angle is that there's also a blue silicone Spiromax hairspring that makes the watch significantly anti-magnetic. It's a 33 jewel movement that's adjusted in 6 positions, and when you combine Spiromax with Gyromax, the Patek Philippe seal, and 6-position adjustment, these watches are attested to run no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per day from the factory. And you can see that the finishing is all you would expect of a Patek Philippe. I won't go too in-depth because the eyes tell the story, but you can see mirrored anglage, glorious Côte de Genève, engine-turned perlage, black-polished screw heads with chamfered slots. You can even see the locating pegs used to locate the balance cock on the base plate. Those peg heads have all been black-polished, and it's very impressive. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And if you're wondering, yes, we do have a screw-down case back, but yes, it's still a dress watch 30 meters water resistant.